Hello, and welcome to Ask Dr. B. In a prior segment, I began to answer a question from a viewer from the UK about bullying. How do parents recognize the signs? And as I was talking, it occurred to me that it would be helpful to break this topic into a few chunks because it's a complex topic and there are a lot of pieces. When we think about how do we assess, how do we determine if something is going on that is causing my child pain, and then what do we do about it? How do we help them? What other steps do we need to take? So that first video was on how to recognize the signs and how to help our children talk to us and how to engage others who can also give us additional information. One of the things I want to underscore about that conversation, you know, none of us learn something easily on the first try. And often if we're trying to help our children learn a new skill, in this case, it might be sharing with us what's happening, how they're feeling emotionally, what's hard. Maybe that's not something that they've done before. And so we're teaching them something new. We need to model it a lot. We need to talk to them, not badger them. Sometimes it's hard when we know our child is hurting. We want to get to the root of it, and we get frustrated if they're not talking to us. But sometimes it's because they're uncomfortable, or they don't know how, or they feel all kinds of feelings associated with whatever is happening to them. Kids who are bullied, adults who are bullied, teens who are bullied often feel guilty. They feel ashamed. They feel out of control. They can't make it stop. So there may be all kinds of reasons why your child is not able to share. Maybe they don't even know. They don't understand, especially if they're little, because kids, even in preschool, can be mean to each other. And in that case, it really is important to work with the staff of their program, the caregivers, and the adults talk about it. But when kids get to school, then it's important to engage them in that process and make sure that if you are going to talk to the school about it, that you let them know that you're concerned about them and you want to understand and you want to figure out together that the adults want to be helpful to them. So that is a good lead in to let's assume now that we know our child is being bullied. We have that from them. They've explained what's going on. It sounds like bullying. We understand, maybe we've even gotten validation from others that this is happening. So what do you do about it? So first thing to do is to let your child know that you hear them, that you understand, that you feel bad for them, that you're sorry that this is happening, and that you are going to be there with them to figure out what to do to help them. Be mindful of promises you can't keep. You can't promise that you're going to make it stop. You can't promise that you're going to make it not hurt them anymore. Because again, especially once children are in school, there are a lot of factors, there are a lot of experiences that they're having that we're not there to protect them. But there are things that we can do. We can obviously be in their corner. We can be an advocate. We can talk to them about that we would be willing to go with them, happy to go with them, to talk to the school if it's a situation at school, to talk to a coach, to talk to a friend's parent. Sometimes kids do not want that. I can remember with my own daughters having these painful conversations, especially as they got older, middle school and high school. And we're going to talk more about that in a separate video. But even, elementary school students may be terrified. No, mom, don't do that. Don't go tell the teacher. So then you're in a really tough situation as a parent. You have to determine how serious, how significant, how concerned, how concerning. You have to make a decision. Can you be helpful to your child by helping them develop strategies, skills, letting go of an activity that is a toxic environment? What can you do to help build and strengthen them? And when do you need to step in because it's gotten to a point that is concerning you about your child's well-being? I talked in that first video, and you can check that out, about these signs that tell us something is going on, we always want to look as a parent. How long has it been going on? How intense is it? How much is it interfering with their functioning, their relationships, their sleeping, their eating, um, their activities, their concentration? So sometimes you have to overrule a child, especially again, school age kids, young in that 5 to 10, basically before middle school ages, and sometimes you have to overrule them. Sometimes you overrule the older ones too, but with younger ones, they may not be able to judge that I need mom's help here. I need dad. I need sibling. I need grandparents. I need some support here. But judge that based on what you're seeing with them, how significant, how severe, how intense. And if you're concerned about them, if they're making any comments that worry you about, they feel hopeless, they feel like they shouldn't exist, they feel like they should disappear, like they're worthless. These are indicators that it really requires some professional assessment. To talk to your pediatrician, talk to your school, talk to a counselor, get a referral, have your child evaluated to make sure that they are not at risk. Have seen, sadly, all over the world, indications, stories, uh, statistics of children who either try to hurt themselves or do hurt themselves as a consequence of being bullied. So it's a very, very serious, potentially dangerous phenomenon that we want to take seriously. So if you can, then you work with your child, if it makes sense, to build them up, help them think of strategies. As I said, you know, help them first understand how they feel about it and what can be done, what can't be done. What are some tips that you can share with them? What are some resources you can find together to help them? It may be that because they so desperately want to fit into a group that is, for whatever reason, not letting them in, not wanting them in, that the best solution is to leave the group. It may be that talking to parents of that group may help resolve an issue. So there are no simple solutions here. I hope that you hear that the key is to have open communication with your child, pay attention to the signs, engage others, educate yourself. I'm going to include some resources here that might be helpful to you. Come at this more than once. Don't give up on finding a solution. Help your child understand that while things feel terrible and upsetting now, they won't always, that there is a way through this and that you're going to be there together with them to find it. In future videos, I'll talk about pre-teen and teenage young folks, about how to help them with this phenomenon. The one thing I didn't mention here that I'll be talking a lot more about in that video is the monitoring and restriction of social media. Young kids also have access to phones. Hopefully parents are monitoring these kids, 10 and under, what they're viewing, and parental controls and such. I know it can be difficult to monitor that, but if you're concerned that your child is being bullying, that's one place to definitely tune into. And you may need to restrict the use for a while and tolerate your child's upset at you for that. But sometimes we need to protect our kids by stepping in, and they may not appreciate it or like it, but if you explain to them what's going on, they will ultimately come through that on the other side. And having some space from that social media may be really, really helpful. So more on social media, more on bullying in future videos. Thank you again to the person who sent in this question. It's led to really important conversation, discussion about this. And keep sending in your questions. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.